All right, let's get right into it. Today, we're going to talk about something called a dopamine detox, which sounds kind of intense, but it's really about how you can trick your own brain into actually enjoying hard work.
So let me start with a question. I think we've all been here, right? You can sit down and just melt into a TV show for like 3 hours straight, no problem. But the second you try to sit down and study for 30 minutes, it feels like torture. Why does that happen?
And here is the most important thing I want you to hear right at the beginning. If you've ever felt guilty about that, if you've ever called yourself lazy, you can just stop. This is not a personal failure. It's not a weakness. It's brain science. To really understand what's going on, we have to meet the star of the show, your dopamine system. Because deep inside your brain, there's this one chemical, this one molecule that is basically running the entire show when it comes to your motivation. Now, hold on, because there's a huge myth about dopamine. Everybody calls it the pleasure chemical, but that's not really what it is. A much better way to think about it is as the desire chemical. It's not the reward itself. It's the thing that makes you want the reward. It's the engine that gets you up and moving. So just how powerful is this stuff? Well, scientists figured that out in a pretty famous and honestly kind of chilling experiment they did with rats. And what they found perfectly explains what's happening in our own heads every single day. Okay, so here's the setup. The researchers went in and they figured out how to directly stimulate the dopamine centers in these rats' brains. Basically, they got a little lever that just turned the I want that feeling all the way up to max. And what happened was wild. The rats became completely obsessed. They just kept pulling that lever for another hit of dopamine. They wouldn't eat, they wouldn't sleep. They would literally just keep pulling it until they passed out from pure exhaustion. That is the raw power of wanting. So, of course, after seeing that, the scientists had to ask the next logical question. What happens if we do the complete opposite? What if we take it all away? So they took another group of rats and completely blocked their dopamine. And the result here is in some ways even more shocking. The rats just stopped. They wouldn't eat. They wouldn't drink. They had zero motivation to do anything at all. Their will to live was basically just gone, which proves dopamine isn't just for fun. It's fundamental to our drive to do anything. Okay, so that's the science experiment. Now let's connect it to real life. How does that explain why we choose Netflix over our own ambition? Well, it's because most of us are living in what you could call an overstimulation trap. See, your brain is always doing a quick cost-benefit analysis. It's asking, where can I get the most dopamine for the least amount of effort? Scrolling social media, playing video games, eating junk food, these are massive, immediate dopamine hits. Studying, working out, that's a slow burn. The reward is way off in the future. So naturally, your brain is drawn to the easy win. But, and this is a huge but, your brain is all about balance. It's got this internal thermostat called homeostasis. It's always trying to get back to its normal baseline. Think of it like this. If you walk into a really loud party, at first the music is deafening, but after a while you kind of get used to it, right? Your brain literally turns down the volume. Well, when you're constantly bombarding it with these huge dopamine hits, it does the exact same thing. It starts deactivating its own dopamine receptors to handle all that noise. And this brings us right to the heart of the problem. It's a state called dopamine tolerance. Your baseline for what feels good, for what feels rewarding, gets pushed higher and higher. So now, when you try to do something that offers a normal, healthy level of reward, like studying, it feels completely boring and pointless. It's not that you're lazy. Your brain has literally been desensitized. So what do you do about it? How do you fix a desensitized brain? Well, this is where the whole concept of a dopamine detox comes into play. It's about intentionally hitting the reset button. The term detox is a little dramatic. It's not like you're trying to get rid of dopamine. You need it to live. Think of it more like a fast. You're just deliberately starving your brain of all those easy, super high stimulation activities. The goal is to give your poor, overworked receptors a break so they can recover and come back online. The whole strategy is simple, but I'm going to be honest, it's not comfortable. The one and only rule is this. You have to let yourself be bored. No phone, no videos, no podcasts, no constant stimulation. You just sit with it. Because when you do that, when you remove all that crazy noise, something incredible starts to happen.
your brain's baseline for what feels good starts to drop back down to normal. And suddenly, the little things, a quiet walk outside, reading a chapter of a book, they start to feel interesting again, rewarding even.
Okay, so the theory makes sense, but how do you actually put this into practice? Let's make this super practical with a game plan you could literally start today. You don't have to go cold turkey for a month. You can start small. Try a full detox day. Just 1 day a week, no screens, no junk food, no stimulants. Just let yourself be bored. Read a book, go for a walk, just think. Or if that's too much, try a weekly mini detox. Pick one bang, just one, like social media, and cut it out for a single day. See what happens. But maybe the most powerful tool of all is this one, the golden rule. It's so simple. Do the hard thing first, do the work, then watch the show. Go to the gym, then scroll on your phone. When you do this, you start teaching your brain to associate dopamine with the effort itself, not just the cheap reward. And that changes everything. So let's wrap this all up. When you understand how this system works, you realize something incredibly powerful. You get to choose what your brain learns to crave. The difference between those people who seem to have endless motivation and those of us who struggle to get started, it's not really about willpower. It's not about being a better person. It's simply about what they have, consciously or unconsciously, trained their brain to want. And that really is the bottom line here. The important things in your life don't have to feel like a chore forever. Your brain can change. You just have to be willing to give it a little quiet time, a little space, a chance to remember what's actually worth wanting in the first place.